everyone can get, I can get that paper if I wanted to.
Well, no, you couldn't. But also it's because, again, they have a sensory processing disorder. I would say that's
Literally, it's like
arbitrary.
your,
That sounds arbitrary and subjective, right? Disciplined. I mean, if I could do the job well, I would say that I'm still disciplined, right? It's an invalid opinion that would defy logic, reason, and our empirical understanding of things like
okay, listen,
ADHD.
There's, do you like believe in ADHD?
ADHD? Yeah. Yeah, I do.
In my country, it has like every second child, and it just kind of feels stupid.
No, I think, well, ADHD is a form of neurodivergence, and neurodivergence, as we're understanding it, is a lot more common than we used to think it is. And the way I would describe it is, I think there's a lot of stigma on these things. The same with autism is another one of these. There's a lot of stigma on these things that are a lot more negative, to where, sure, it is more common now in diagnosis, but a lot of people have it in forms to where you could talk to them and never really tell. Like, the amount of people who have ADHD or autism that you could talk to and like never know if they didn't mention it to you are like bountiful. That's the majority of cases.
When you want to go to college, you take like this and 2 hour long test, and these like ADHD kids, they have like, I don't know, 30 minutes more, and it feels like stupid because you have to learn the same things as me. Why should you get more time just because you got some stupid paper? Everyone can get, I can get that paper if I wanted to.
Well, no, you couldn't. But also it's because, again, they have a sensory processing disorder. So the way that they process things is different from me and you, which often means that it takes more time for them to do it. And I would go as far to say that they probably shouldn't even just have 30 minutes. I think that there should be a different structure of the test altogether if we were really trying to be inclusive and form these things best to meet people at their capabilities. Because I think education should be about what you know. Academic ability should be about what you know, not about how you can do it or how well you can focus. Like, I don't really think that's what higher education is about.
It's kind of the same about the things you know and how you can focus.
I don't agree with that at all. I think that if you could learn something, if you can focus well enough that you can learn it in 30 minutes, but I can only focus to learn it in an hour, but I can do it better than you, then what's the difference that you learned it faster? I don't think focus is the main criteria there.
The difference is that I'm disciplined and you're not. It's like, it's just crazy that there's like this test that
I would say that's arbitrary. That sounds arbitrary and subjective, right? Disciplined. I mean, if I could do the job well, I would say that I'm still disciplined, right?
Yeah, but you can do it in like a longer, you can't do the same job in the same time.
Right, but most things won't be time constrictive, right? Most things aren't tests and they're not time constrictive. If you're talking about like open heart surgery, sure, I could agree with you there. But if we're talking about most jobs that most educations will provide for, you're not going to have time constrictions like you would on a test.
Yeah, you are, because you can't work on construction 16 hours a day.
If you're talking about like engineering something and like the blueprints that would go into constructing a building, I would say that having the proper construction and having the physics down to a T and making sure it's going to be properly constructed is more important than constructing it faster. Whether it takes a year or 6 months, I think the main part is that it's constructed properly.
I think that like ADHD kids should just learn as normal kids. They just, if they want to have like some ball they want to play in the hands, I don't really care about.
I think it's unfair, I think it's unfair that you would want someone with a disability that you don't have to do the same thing that you do. That's like telling someone who has additional hurdles to jump over while you're running on a track with no hurdles that they should run just as fast as you.
Okay, sure, but we are talking about a really small disability. Like, it's
not really small. That's a gross misunderstanding of ADHD.
Who have blurry vision, should they take another test too? Of course not.
That have what?
Blurry vision. They can't see properly.
If you
can't
see properly, they should probably have things. They would probably have like a voice thing on the test so you can hear it, right? Like, you would probably have ways to make the test easier for them as well.
No, they just take glasses and then write the same test.
Right. They have glasses. That would be
Yeah,
like
so the
saying
thing with
that would be like saying
ADHD,
that would be like saying why should they have glasses? That's unfair. I don't get to have glasses that help me see better. They should have to take the test like the rest of us without glasses.
no, but the glasses don't give them an advantage
It
with
does.
more time done.
No, exactly.
No, it
Exactly.
doesn't.
No, exactly. Exact. That's actually exactly my point. It doesn't give them an advantage. Just like the way the ADHD kids have to take a test doesn't give them an
No, it
advantage
gives them
because of the
advantage
disadvantage that they already
it gives
have.
them more time.
No,
It gives
because
them more time.
right, because they have a disorder that allows them to makes them process things that typically makes them take longer. So it's not an
Yeah, but
advantage.
it's like
It's
if
equalizing
I
it's
I was
minimizing the
missing,
disadvantage.
like
As someone who
you know,
works
I
as someone who works with kids regularly who are diagnosed with ADHD, you're like grossly off point here when you say that they're just like choosing to not focus.
yeah, that's my opinion.
It's an invalid
It's
opinion
good.
that would defy logic, reason, and our
No, it doesn't.
empirical understanding of things like
Okay, listen.
ADHD.
There's the difference between opinions and fact. You can facts. You can have opinions on politics, economics, and then you can have opinions on about religion or these things.
I think that even your opinions should be grounded in evidence and observational data.
Yeah, exactly. So my
I think
observation is that I've met a lot of ADHD people, and they just chose not to focus. They
no,
didn't
no,
want. They were
that's
lazy.
not data. That's an anecdote. An anecdote is not data. If I walked outside and I said the earth looks flat, that's not data or is evidence that would point in the direction that the earth is flat. That's an anecdote. What you're giving me is an anecdote. What I'm talking about is grounding your opinions in evidence and data.
I don't think ADHD is an illness. I think it's like how people are born. It's normal. It's just part of personality.
So then why do you think there's scientific consensus around it being a disorder?
All science doesn't agree.
What science disagrees with ADHD being a disorder? Could you name a specific science that disagrees with that?
Okay, I usually in my free time I don't Google
There's not one. It doesn't
science
exist.
group
It
that
doesn't
doesn't
exist.
believe in the ADHD. Yeah, I usually don't do that in my free time.
Well, it doesn't exist, right? Science values the scientific method. The scientific method, through evidence discovered in behavioral science, would overwhelmingly indicate that ADHD is a real disorder. Thus, there is scientific consensus around the fact that ADHD is a disorder. I'm asking you why you think that you're right and scientific consensus is wrong.
You're using some expensive words.
Do you think scientific agreement on other things is wrong? Like, do you think like evolution is wrong?
No. I
Okay.
usually agree with the science.
Okay, so then why do you disagree with science here?
I don't think this is like science. I
It's
think this is like more of an human behavior.
There are different neurological processes or formations and different chemical imbalances you can see in
In
brains.
which part of the brain?
I mean, now you're and now you're getting above my pay grade, dude. Hold on.
Nah, okay, you don't have to Google that. I just wanted.
I
to
mean, you can
know.
like for instance, you can just look up the picture. Like I just looked up one. You can see the difference in how they look. A normal brain versus a brain with ADHD. In the frontal lobe is what this points at. The sensory motor cortex, the cerebellum. All different. I mean, like, yeah, there's like endless amounts of photos. Like, this is something that has been studied, looked at, but through multiple means of observation.
I think, for example, autism, their brain thinks a lot differently. They should get special treatment. I think that ADHD is like kinda I don't want to work. It's kinda like
You know that they're
yeah.
like pretty close to the same thing. They're so close to the same thing, actually, that often females with autism get misdiagnosed as ADHD. That's like super common.
I guess you kinda opened my mind. Yeah, like I don't know. I just met I'm not talking from like science perspective. I just think from my personal perspective. I met a lot of people with ADHD and they were all kind of like bitchy. They just don't wanna work. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
I get
yeah,
that.
of course.
I get that. And if there's anything I can leave you with, it's the value in trusting science over anecdotes. And the best analogy I can give you, the best like hypothetical, the example I could give you is if you walked outside, you could look around and say, the earth looks flat. You could go to 10 other people who also looked around and said, the earth looks flat, but that's not actually evidence of the earth being flat. It's through scientific process, data, studies, that we can come to the conclusion that the earth is round.